In this WrestleTalk news, Cody Rhodes deletes his Twitter following fan negativity, AEW Rampage slips again, Ollie's review of Monday Night Raw, and more. Subscribe for daily wrestling news and enable notifications to always on to make sure you don't miss a thing.
Support WrestleTalk!
When Cody Rhodes was released from WWE back in 2016, he became a bit of a hero of the independent circuit, wrestling for Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, WCPW, and anywhere where he thought he could help out with his name. He was also one of the key driving forces behind the celebration of indie wrestling All In, which was the precursor to AEW. In AEW's first year, he was heralded as the biggest babyface the company had, constantly going out of his way to put over younger talent like Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and MJF. But something changed in 2021, and the crowd started to turn on him, getting booed more and more with each passing week. In fairness, this wasn't helped by him doing interviews saying that he was the John Cena of AEW who won't turn heel, and cutting a promo on Dynamite where he politely asked the crowd not to boo him because he's the babyface in the storylines, and we're supposed to just play along with that. You know, we wouldn't all be here without him. Look, I'm wearing shoes, cheer me. We've had a lot of discussions about this on the WrestleTalk podcast. Is Cody a delusional heel who thinks he's a babyface, or is Cody a babyface who thinks this is all working? Going by the booking in AEW, I still think it's the latter. For example, tagging with Pac this past Saturday to go against the big heels in Andrade and Malachi Black. And something that may suggest I'm right on this is that Cody surprisingly deleted his Twitter account yesterday, seemingly spurred on by people tagging him into this photo of a fan sign from Full Gear which said Cody solved racism. A reference to that infamously terrible promo on Dynamite earlier this year during his feud with Anthony Ogogo. He later told Busted Open Radio that he was simply moving all of his social media presence over to Instagram because of the amount of sniping and negativity on Twitter. What do you make of Cody Rhodes leaving Twitter? Let me know in the comments. If you care, that is, because Ollie will be replying to people for the first 30 minutes after this video goes live.
From out of nowhere!
It's more bad news for Camp AEW, as the go-home episode of Rampage for Full Gear drew 515,000 viewers, its second lowest number since the show began. That's down 14% from last week, and the all-important 18 to 49 demo was also down 9.1% with a 0.20. There was a lot of sports competition, but that didn't affect SmackDown, which actually saw a slight increase in overall viewership to 2.1 million viewers, though the 18 to 49 demo was down ever so slightly. But now it's time for Ollie Davis' review of Monday Night Raw, in about 5 minutes.
Big E is here in your local hometown, don't be sour! Wonder if he'll have that main event WWE Championship match against Otis anytime soon. Oh my god, it's Survivor Series this Sunday! Big E was annoyed about Roman Reigns beating up his New Day brothers, so he called out Kevin Owens, who cut a promo blaming everyone else for his actions. Whereupon the Usos jumped Big E, who was saved by Matt Riddle. So Sonya Deville booked a tag match, which Seth Rollins randomly made his entrance for to join commentary, then caused a DQ just a few minutes in, which brought out Randy Orton. And everything was restarted as a 6-man tag. What is going on? Seth rolled up Riddle for the win, and Big E sent a rather limp message to Roman by just hitting a big ending on Jimmy and shouting into the camera. The in-ring action was fun as always, but this entire segment made me feel like I had brain damage. Randy shouted at Riddle backstage later on for saving the other babyfaces, saying he just cares about their titles and their team. To which Riddle replied, "You do care about me." This was very sweet between the two and made even better by Orton's full-on straight performance. Bianca Belair then beat Tamina with Doudrop, first watching on from a ridiculous angle backstage, and then coming out for a promo threatening she'll be looking for Belair at Survivor Series. You don't really have to look, she's in the elimination match. She's right there. Thankfully, Becky Lynch was out next to have the first genuinely good segment of the show. She cut a great promo answering Charlotte's SmackDown speech about not knowing who Becky was anymore. Lynch responded saying she's the person who used to be her best friend. She's the person who had to recreate herself over and over again to rise to the top. She's the person who made Charlotte Flair hate herself and turned her into the most miserable woman she knows. This was a terrific promo, bitterly delivered, walking that fine line between kayfabe and the shoot reported heat between them backstage. But hey, well, no, wait a second there. That almost felt like WWE were building Survivor Series. Quick, send out Liv Morgan. Becky continued to be amazing, seamlessly transitioning from a face in the Charlotte feud to a heel against Liv. She devastatingly said, unfortunately, some people just don't have it. Morgan countered the man slam though and posed with the women's title. Did you know Stephanie McMahon has been named one of the most powerful women in sports for the 3rd year in a row? Kinda want them to rename these graphics. Do you care? Montez Ford rolled through a crossbody to pin Chad Gable in the Street Profits vs Alpha Academy, marking the 3rd straight loss in as many weeks for Chad. Welcome to Raw, Gable. Veer Mahan is still coming to Raw. Oh, I'm edging as hard as I was for Emelina. Zelina Vega beat Nikki in a few minutes, which Rhea Ripley and Carmella followed up with a really decent match for the time they were given, particularly a stiff-looking super kick from Mella to Ripley's head. Rhea won with a riptide. Vega continues to push ahead with that English accent though. I find this cultural appropriation offensive. Let's cancel Zelina Vega for punching down on our poor British royal family that owns all the dolphins in the land. It's true actually. I started Googling. The Queen still technically owns all the sturgeons, whales and dolphins in the waters around England and Wales, and a rule that dates back to a statute from 1324 during the reign of King Edward II. Yes, I was so bored by this point in Raw, I started to look at obscure royal laws. Kevin Owens and Finn Balor pulled me right back in though, with KO living his best heel self in the ring for the first time in years. He was mocking Balor's taunts, attempting powerbombs on the apron, shouting at fans. I love KO as a babyface, but he is so much better as a bad guy. The bad guy. He felt a lot more physically imposing too, using his strength to throw Balor around. But after a very exciting final sequence with a pop-up powerbomb near fall and Finn's knees up for KO's Swanton Bomb, Owens hit the stunner for the win. They'll be on the same team at Survivor Series this Sunday though. How will it coexist? Because WrestleMania 38 tickets went on sale last week, WWE unveiled its stupid tagline already. The most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history. Stupendous. Maybe that'd be a new NXT name gimmick. Pendos. AJ Styles and Amos ran down the tag division backstage, but AJ said everyone else might have an army, but he has an Amos, which makes him Iron Man. Awkwardly crammed in pop culture reference check. In a much better line, the Dirty Dogs said AJ and Amos were actually like another movie. Twins. They had a match following their brawl last week, which was just a showcase for Amos, who started things off for a change, beating up both Rude and Ziggler all by himself without taking a bump, then tagging in AJ to get the win with the phenomenal forearm. And the main event saw Rey Mysterio take on Bobby Lashley after Rey had the gall to confront definitely not Raw's heel authority figure Adam Pearce about booking Dominic versus Lashley the previous week, which got Dom kicked off the Survivor Series team. They had a decent match and Bobby tapped out Rey in the Hurt Lock, bringing out Pearce, who said, "It's literally my job to make sure we have the best possible team for Survivor Series." Is it? Is that your job? Because I really would like some clarification. I have no idea what level of power you have, nor why this is so important to you, or important to Raw, or why you're prioritizing Raw over SmackDown, or why you have it in for the Mysterios, or why you're a heel now, or why you're an authority figure now. And because Rey just lost, Pearce removed him from Team Raw. He'll announce the replacement later, which turned out to be right now. As Austin Theory took out Dom and snapped a selfie with them both, Pearce said he likes Theory's style, so he's in Team Raw, even though Dominic was removed in the first place for not being a WWE champion, and now Theory, who's never been a WWE champion either, is replacing very much a former WWE champion Rey Mysterio. Look, I get it. The story is that Pearce can contradict himself because he's a dishonest heel. The WWE Champion's reason was just a cover for him just not liking the Mysterios. So the actual problem isn't that there's no story here. There is, as much as it does feel like it's being made up on the spot. It's that it's utterly disinteresting. What did you think of Raw? Let me know in the comments down below. 68% of you, so close, voted for Survivor Series LOL in our poll on a poll match on the community tab. This is one of the worst pay-per-view builds I've ever seen. And I've seen Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns play tug of war with a belt before WrestleMania. Not that it's actively bad, just that it's such an afterthought. And for supposedly one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year with Survivor Series, makes it feel extra offensive. And the rest of this episode felt like a waste of time. This week's Raw is a low 2 out of 5. But despite that, there are some things planned for the show. Here's 10 Survivor Series rumors. Watch it now.
Somehow, about red shirts versus blue shirts rather than anything actually meaningful, it has a tendency to feel just a little bit out of place. But that doesn't stop there being a ton of news about the show because it's still technically recognized as one of the big four after all. So let's talk about that news, shall we? I'm Pete Quinnell from WrestleTalk, and here's 10 rumors, news stories, and predictions for Survivor Series 2021.